The Otter African Trail Run is presented by Emperor Asset Management in partnership with South African National Parks, Garmin, Easy Equities and Faces. A stunning dawn on the beautiful garden route heralded the return of the most spectacular coastline on the Otter African Trail Run, presented by Emperor Asset Management. Spread out over 4 days, the event offers trail runners the chance to challenge themselves over the most rugged coastal terrain in the country. The 13th edition was the classic route from Storms River to Nature's Valley. The 2021 Otter African Trail Run took place on the back of an announcement about the relaxing of COVID restrictions.
I'm excited, and I think it's nice to see sport starting again in South Africa. Coming down to level 1 is one of the biggest bonuses we can, as event organisers, appreciate. So it's super exciting, and to have a race like the Otter as one of the starting races of the season is fantastic for us as well.
The country's top trail runners and many committed amateurs gathered for the first event, the prologue, which would determine seeding and batch positions for the 42-kilometre run the next day.
From the bottom of the climb to the finish is the hardest kilometre, obviously. That is a serious hill.
The prologue was over 3.3 kilometres with 220 metres of climbing. Among the competitors was former winner Landi Khreiling.
Really excited to be back at the Otter Trail this year. It's my favourite direction. It's from Storms River to Nature's Valley. I absolutely love the trail. I think it's probably the least prepared I've been for this trail, but the most excited because I get to be out here and it's probably the first real hard race back after giving birth to my second child. So just very excited to actually lay it out all on the trail.
Top ultra-distance runner Ryan Sands was also looking to make a successful return, having won the race in 2011. He also had to contend with world-class runners like Kane Riley.
The prologue is a really tricky beast and something I don't look forward to it every year. I've run the Otter 9 times, and the prologue always makes me pretty nervous because you don't want to run the fastest prologue, but obviously you need to run the top 24 for prologue. So I guess the idea is to expend as little energy as possible whilst making it into the Abangeni. So for different people that means different things. Some people who are more ultra runners need to push a bit harder, and then other people it's a little bit more of an exercise of holding back a bit. But you don't want to jog and then not make it and have to run it again, because that is an option.
2017 winner Christian Khreiling knows all about pacing himself to be comfortable among the top 24, known as the Abangeni. 2019 winner Johan van Heerden and Jacques Bass pushed hard over the short, sharp prologue course and clocked the fastest 2 times. The women's race field was packed with serious talent. Bianca Teboten was in top form and posted the quickest time. She checked in at the top in 20 minutes and 55 seconds. Landi Khreiling, with 59 seconds behind her, setting up an exciting race the next morning.
Okay, the scoreboard is looking super exciting today. I've been looking at their times, and there are some new challenges on the board. I've seen Kane Riley hold back a bit. He's normally the champion of the hill, so he would normally take the prologue. He's holding back, but it's going to be very interesting tomorrow.
Van Heerden and Bass matched each other up the hill, while Teboten and Khreiling were bound to set the pace. Race day dawned cool, clear and a little breezy. The serene environment and smiling faces hid nerves and tension ahead of the start.
It's 2021, the grail of trail about to get underway. Really, the royalty of South African trail running is here. Christian Khreiling, Landi Khreiling, of course, the king and queen of trail running for so long have returned. A pandemic has not stopped us. The passion, and as we say here in South Africa, the gees. It is palpable here on the start line as young Johan van Heerden will be going for the magical mark. 4 hours. The unthinkable may happen today. He is chasing 4 hours. For the ladies, we are chasing 4 hours 40. And that mark, if broken by man and woman, will guarantee that runner 50,000 Rand.
As part of the race's safety protocol, the runners were fitted with Bosch tracking units.
You want the last step, but there will be other different.
Coffee.
The race starts at Storms River mouth. A rugged, unforgiving coastline trail awaits the athletes. The first section is super technical and very hilly, and legs will be tested. The Goo Munchie Point at Oakhurst Hut will be a welcome fueling stop. It is also a halfway point, ahead of the biggest of the 4 river crossings, the mighty Blowkrans. After Andre Hut, a steep descent will send them onto the beach at Nature's Valley for their hard-earned Grail of Trail finishers medal.
There is one possible shortcut on this course that could save probably a minute or two at the Yellow Sports River. It is marked off and there is a marshal there to make sure that nobody does that.
And away they went, the cream of South African trail running, the Abangeni chasing glory, each with their own race strategy that they hope will lead to success. Early pace setters were Robbie Roerich and Johart van Heerden.
So the pressure is a privilege. I run well if I put pressure on myself also, and I don't mind the pressure from outside. I think through the years I've learned to handle that.
Kane Riley had also made a strong start. Behind him, a string of runners were picking lines over the rocks, with the ocean a few meters to their left. The first of the river crossings was the stunning Tsitsikama waterfall, which was not too challenging as Roerich led Van Heerden. Christian Grelling had emerged from the pack, his eyes alternating from the rocks beneath him and the runners ahead. He was one of the numerous contenders for the win.
The field's always strong at Otter every year. Sometimes there's international guys, sometimes there isn't, but we've got a really, really strong local field this year. So I mean, Otter's steep. I mean, there's certainly some climbs that feel like they're going straight up. None of the climbs are particularly long, but they are very steep. So that's kind of one big difference between Otter and a lot of other trail races we run is in other races you'll have maybe 3 climbs. Like, something like this. I think there's like 11 significant climbs. So the challenge is like a whole lot of short and steep climbs as opposed to some longer ones. So there's certainly some kind of artistry to running, to managing the climbs here.
The Otter has a trail factor of 2.0, which means completing the Otter would take twice as long as the equivalent distance on road. But that didn't deter hundreds of runners from making the trip to the Garden Route National Park to take on the run.
A beautiful spot, beautiful part of the country, and all the trainings come to a culmination, so hopefully it goes all right.
Yeah, it's our first Otter, so our friends flown in from America, from Durban and from Joburg, and we're silly enough to think we can get to the end.
Otter baby.
Some, like James Sale, had way too much pre-race energy, or was that nerves? A tap from the timer and off they went. For some, it was the start of an annual pilgrimage. For others, a bucket list event. And still others, a journey into an unknown. But for all, it was a celebration.
I think it's a celebration of some sort of normalcy again. Being here at the race village, it looks familiar, it looks like her old self. They're not scared of each other anymore. But I must shout out to our sponsors. We've got new sponsors this year that has made this happen. That takes courage to sponsor during a time of a pandemic. Emperor Asset Management is a title sponsor. Garmin joined us. DGB joined us this year. And that's enabled this. And now we get to see the benefits of those courageous decisions and courageous investments. And I think we're all going to benefit. It's lovely to see.
Bianca Teboten had made a blazing start in the women's race. She was ahead of a group that included 2016 winner Robin Owen and Landi Grelling, who had picked their way over the rocks. Bianca's first attempt at the classic route ended in disaster in 2019 when she collapsed 1 kilometre from the finish line. In 2020, she finished runner-up to Tony McCann. This year, the 24-year-old was in fine form and clearly feeling very strong.
I'm a bit biased towards the retro direction just because last year I had a really good run, and the year before when I did Otter I had quite a bad run. But I've definitely gotten stronger in my climbing, and I quite enjoy a steep climb, so I'm actually looking forward to this year's direction to see what I'm capable of if I have a good day.
Leading the second group was Namibian Jalika Paul, a triathlete based in Cape Town. She was coming to grips with the brutal step of climbing on her first Otter trail run, an event that cannot be taken lightly.
It's part of the challenge, and that's one of the things of being in a wild environment, is that you're responsible for yourself out there, and it's not just whether you're going to get your medal or not. It's whether you're going to come out alive or do damage to your health. So it's quite that, and that it's a risky experience, and it's getting to know those limits within yourself is, I think, one of the most rewarding parts of the sport.
Trail running's massive growth in popularity has seen events pop up all over the world.
Well, the Otter is number one. There's no question about it in trail running. It's not accessible to everyone. We know that it's a long way for Europeans and northern countries. However, it's got the mix. It's got the technical, it's got the mix, it's got the distance, the right temperature, you name it. If there is a template for a trail run, the Otter is it.
The tough first section of the run sees the runners drop onto the beach at Scott's Hut, which is the first of the checkpoints at 12.7 kilometers. After following Robbie Roerich for the first few Ks, Johan van Heerden had pushed on and opened up a couple of minutes lead. Kane Riley had also passed Robbie and was now in second. Robbie all smiles in third, and Ryan Sands was fourth after an hour and 19 minutes of running. Women's leader Bianca Tiboten was first through Scots. She was just over 10 minutes behind Johart, having taken an hour and 29 minutes to cover the first 12.7 kilometers. Jalika Paul was holding second place but was already 12 minutes behind the flying Tiboten. Johan van Heerden was on the run of his life at this stage, on course for the magical sub-4 hours. He reached Oakhurst in 3 minutes short of 2 hours, a pace that if he were to maintain would see him become the first South African to dip under 240 minutes for the Otter and earn him that 50,000 Rand bonus. Passing the GU Munchie points, Kane Riley was just 4 minutes behind Johart. The race was on. The leaping Robbie Roerich had managed his efforts well. After a fast start, he was 4 minutes behind Kane. Making his way across the Lottering River was Ryan Sands, using that rare flat section to take on nutrition. He was 12 minutes adrift of the race leader, but was perhaps keeping something in the tank for the second half. Bianca Tiboten used the cool, clean water to lower her body temperature. 2 hours and 21 minutes to halfway, she was looking good to challenge the record. Jalika Paul, 15 minutes behind Tiboten, wisely chose to take on sustenance at Munchie Point before heading out onto the pristine coastline. Nadia Jooster had run a super strong first half of the race and was just 4 minutes down on pole. There were many different techniques on display, and then the unfortunate overstretch and slip. Ouch, that looked painful. GU Munchie Point was popular for those in not too much of a hurry.
Actually, this year I'm taking a few photos along the way, so not worrying about my time that much, as long as I finish. But it's absolutely spectacular, so that's what I'm trying to do, taking some of the views while I'm at it.
Some more climbs to go. Thankfully we got the GU station here to get us going again and reset, and then we push home, eh?
Nutrition and pacing were the key ingredients to a happy outcome at Nature's Valley. Those who pushed too hard, too early, paid a price over the second half by way of cramping. However, there were not many who suffered. The Blowkrans River crossing was just short of 30 k's. Carrying the twin badges on each knee of a man pushing himself to the limit, Johan van Heerden ran fluently through the river. Kane Riley was still in second, but coming under increasing pressure from Ryan Sands. Christian Greyling was tapping out a good pace in fourth, keeping track of his goal times at each checkpoint. He has years of experience to know what lay ahead and how it may play out. Jacques Bays, who had matched Van Heerden on the prologue, was looking good in fifth now. The Otter trail run was the brainchild of adventures and extreme athletes Mark and John Collins.
The Otter is special. It's actually been something that a baby of ours that we've grown from 2005, but the first race was actually officially 2009, and we've watched it grow, and we've managed to share it with many people, and it's just nice to share it with people. It's something that we are actually marking everybody's name down, keeping a good log, and it's something to remember.
It has now taken its place among the iconic South African endurance events as a must-do race, but it requires a particular skill to succeed here.
You need a very specific strength to do well at Otter. If you look at some of the European runners, they're used to like really big mountain climbs where you're just climbing, and then you descend, and you do that twice over a marathon distance race, where Otter's continually up, down, stop, start, kind of got to swim here or there, and it's very unique, and I think that's what makes it so cool.
At Andre's hut, around 11 k's from the finish, Johan van Heerden has been running for 3 hours and 23 minutes. The 4-hour goal is looking less likely now. Having passed Kane Riley, Ryan Sands was on the charge. 12 minutes behind Johan, a youth spent running on Table Mountain, had laid the foundations of a stellar trail running career. Now in third, Kane Riley was taking some strain.
So I don't run the climbs. I prefer to save my energy for the downhills and the flat. I believe in trying to use a consistent power throughout your race. And I've also learned from the guys like Mark Lowenstein. He's walking quite a lot of the climbs. So the climbs are just too steep to run them.
Jacques Bays was running the flats well and also walking the steep climbs.
To me, this race is won in the last 8 kilometers. It's flat and runnable. If you have the legs, you can win this race. If you don't have the legs, it's going to be a very long day out.
They told me at Blowkrans I was still leading, so that put me in race mode again. And yes, just hold on for the win to the finish line. I knew there was a strong field behind me that wanted to chase me, so I'm very glad that I got the win again. It was such a privilege to be back here at Otter. It's a magnificent race, magnificent scenery, magnificent organized event. And it's such a privilege.
A run for the ages by Johan van Heerden, who accepted the applause and cheers befitting a champion having conquered the Grail of Trail once more.
Really stoked with how today went. When I first ran the Otter race 10 years ago in 2011, I said if you told me there's like one trail there was only one trail you could ever run, and I would definitely pick the Otter. Growing up in Cape Town at the ocean and being able to combine trails and the ocean and in Otter. It's just really spectacular and just incredible.
Christian Khreling taking third, the shared delight in each other's success is a hallmark of these top athletes. A second win in 3 years for Johan van Heerden. Perhaps 2022 will see a sub-4 hour winner. The pristine wilderness at the Garden Route National Park has a rich diversity of vegetation and home to numerous mammals and many reptiles that need space and respect. Bianca Tiboten, who had taken the lead in the women's race very early and reached the Blowkrans in just short of 3.5 hours. Jalika Paul was some way behind her in second place as she closed in on 4 hours of running time. 4 minutes behind her, Nadia Jooster was reveling in the challenge. There was still many of over 7,000 steps to be run. The race for second was intense. Paul was under pressure from a fast-finishing Jooster. Walking the climbs was the only option as Bianca tapped out another steep ascent. The finish was close now, and the East London-born runner was closing in on an outstanding achievement. Second 2 years ago, and having hit the wall close to the finish last year, Bianca Tiboten was a class act in 2021. She crossed the finish line in a new record time for the classic of 4 hours, 45 minutes and 34 seconds, much to her surprise.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. I kind of knew I was capable of it, but yeah, it feels crazy. I'm really happy, and hopefully I'll be back next year and try to do it again.
Jalika Paul taking second place.
No, it meant so much, everyone cheering for me. I didn't really expect it at all, so I have a little bit of imposter syndrome here today, but very excited. I'm very happy with the run, excited how it turned out, and I'm very happy for Bianca running the record time, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah, an incredible performance. Bianca Tiboten setting a new record here, breaking the existing record by close on 7 minutes. Incredible achievement, and given her history with the classic of 2 years ago, where she actually ran herself to a standstill just a kilometre short of the finish line. What a remarkable comeback, a remarkable story, the Cinderella story of the race.
The measure of Bianca's achievement is evident in the results, as she was the only female sub-5 hour finisher and 7th overall. The Otter African Trail Run is part of the ever-expanding number of events that fall under the Faces umbrella.
Our job is to put smiles on faces, and let's be honest, there's no better place to put smiles on faces than running through the Tsitsikamma, seeing the beauty, seeing the beautiful people, and connecting. You know, we aim to get people to be inspired, to be proud of being a South African, and create a sense of community. And I think there's no better example than the Otter. But definitely we try to do that all over the country with all our events. And now's the time that I really think we need it. The human race needs it, the people need it, and our country needs it. And we're going to double invest and make sure that we deliver on our promise to this community.
Faces are delivering just what the people want: hardcore outdoor fun and a little suffering, as Bradley Leather from title sponsor Emperor Asset Management could testify.
An amazing day, but tough. It's relentless. You know, just when you think you got past a big hill, another one comes along. So and that was amazing. But it's an amazing event. A proud sponsor. So yeah, we're hopefully back next year. But it was amazing. So it's a great crowd. It was tough. It's very tough, but I did it. My first Otter, it won't be my last. It's very cool.
The sheer exhilaration of reaching the end of the run would lead some impromptu swims and beam sliding. A sound-enriching experience for all.
It was magnificent out there, like seriously magnificent. But yeah, right now I'm sore and taking strain. So, but yeah, what a lekker experience. We absolutely loved it. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it was an amazing experience. Yeah, what a wonderful track to run on. But tough day out there.
I'm coming back stronger, and I'm gonna fight to be better. This is the best race ever. That's the only reason I'm coming back.
Yeah, it's a beautiful route, but it's super tough. I had to dig myself out of some pretty deep black holes today, but all in all, awesome experience.
Insane, overwhelming, and a day I'll never forget, like genuinely one of the greatest days of my life.
Congratulations to all the finishers. Keep those smiles on your faces until next year's event. Otter African Trail Run was proudly brought to you by Emperor Asset Management in partnership with South African National Parks, Garmin, Easy Equities and Faces.